The greatest benefit I got from doing the retreat and then going into the mentorship was just being able to come back to balance, come back to myself, and to let go of things that I had absolutely no control over, that I was placing so much energy into.
Imagine discovering a pathway that cuts through the noise of trying to heal, to instead offer you a clear, revolutionary initiation into your most connected, abundant, loved, and purpose-filled self. A place where your dreams transform into personal reality. I'm Allura Halliwell, founder of the Consciousness Method, and it's with deep gratitude that I connect with beautiful souls who have already experienced this transformative method firsthand. They'll share how it has profoundly changed their lives and led them into inner truth. Hello, Dimitra. Welcome. I'm so happy you're here.
Hello, Allura. I'm happy to be here.
It's so exciting to dive in with you today because you've been journeying with me really since some of the early years or early days of this work. So I'm just so excited to tune in with you and just explore, how this process has been and how it's supported you across the years. Is it okay if we just begin by you just sharing maybe a little bit around, the beginning of that journey and sort of where that journey initially took you when you first tried, experience the mentorship space?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So it was probably, 2.5 years ago when I did the retreat up in Queensland. I think the most significant thing for me at that time was that we were still in that whole chaotic pandemic era with, so much pressure and so much craziness. And the greatest benefit I got from doing the retreat and then going into the mentorship was just being able to come back to balance, come back to myself, and to let go of things that I had absolutely no control over, that I was placing so much energy into. I was spending so much time on YouTube and reading articles and studies and commenting here and commenting there, getting thrown off platforms, which I was actually very proud of. So, because I was a contrary voice, but it was consuming me with no tangible sort of result, as in, I didn't feel as though I was advancing anything in the world as far as me was concerned. So having pulled back entirely from that after the retreat, and then I went straight into the mentorship with you, started to slowly pick away at things, sort of blocks and limiting beliefs, and sort of starting to branch out and try new things and go into areas that I never thought I was capable of doing, like, setting up online platforms and experimenting with things like that. And it was just change direction completely. It was like, rather than focusing on everything that's happening outside, which I had really very little control over what was happening, it's just bringing all that energy back to me. And what is it that I want to do? Who do I want to become? What do I want to offer to the
So
world and to the
empowering.
people around me?
That's
Mm.
such an empowering, state and movement into that. And I'm curious, how did the understanding of the unknown wounding, which we focused on
Mm.
within the journey, how did that
Mm.
really help you to reorientate your energy and consciousness and awareness through that understanding?
Yeah, so I was introduced to the core wound. So the unknown is my primary one. And basically, I recognized how it has really basically run my life, where I don't know enough. That's my basic premise, that, I can't do this because I don't know enough yet, or I'm not good enough yet. So I need to keep studying, or I need to keep researching. I still need to keep doing retreats or whatever that is, because I'm just not ready yet. So being aware of that unknown wound, the awareness is everything. As soon as you introduce that concept about the core wounds, and I could recognize that, every time I would do something, it was like, oh, I'm doing that thing again. I mean, it hasn't gone away. That's the thing. It's like you expect,
Mm-hmm.
because you're aware of it now, it's just going to fall away. No, it doesn't, because it is fundamentally a part of me. So it's just being able to catch myself when I've fallen into that addiction of having to keep learning or keep researching, and that actually takes me away from myself and my own inner knowing. So basically that I can catch myself so much faster doing that now. And it's like, oh, okay, that thing is there again. And then I'll just relax. It doesn't mean that I stop doing what I'm doing. It just means that I'm doing it from a place of awareness, and it's more a conscious action versus an unconscious addiction, let's say.
Oh, I think that's such a beautiful way to put that. Just from an unconscious addiction to a conscious action. There's so much empowerment and sovereignty in that space because you're not being buffeted around by whatever's kind of pulling your energy, or wherever you're feeling like you need to have that strong voice that's not heard, or have that opinion that you don't feel is valid but you want to express, and these kind of constructs that keep you pushing energy out but also draining your internal resources and creating a fracture within you that, why isn't this landing? Why isn't the outside world affirming me internally? Did you find that
Yes.
aspect as well? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Because it was like a cycle of, okay, I would read or study or whatever, learn more, do more. And then it's like, okay, now I'm going to try and do this. But if I didn't get the result that I expected, then I would just fall back into that pattern of, well, then I failed again. I probably don't know enough. Then I should go back to being the student. So I'm always going back into the student role.
Yes. And then how did that intercept? Because you kind of just mentioned it there with your unworthy wounding, that interplay between, oh, I don't know. So what did you kind of feel in that space?
Yeah, very closely related is my unworthy wound. So basically, if I would try something, if I would sort of try to step out of my comfort zone and I didn't get the results that I wanted, or I suppose more importantly, I didn't get the validation from the external world, whether it was from the people, I didn't get people saying, geez, you're great, Dimitra, or I didn't get enough likes on my newsletter, or any sort of like validation from somebody to say something to me that validated my experience, then I would just fall back into, I'm not good enough. And then that would go back into the unknown. If I'm not good enough, that means I don't know enough. Therefore, I should go and do more work. And it'd go around that
Cycle
pattern.
around that. Yes.
Mm.
And so that consciousness of the wounding is, super helpful, because then you get that degree of separation from it being that you are the problem and you have a problem on any level. And this is just for everybody. What other parts for you really help dislodge that as being kind of the trajectory or the looping of your life? Did you find that going through the deeper awarenesses of where that fracture landed in you initially and the pain and fear around that was supportive for you? Or was there another process that you felt was helpful in really moving that within you?
Okay, I think there are two parts that work for me. So definitely going into the fracture and getting in touch with the pain and where that pain originated from, and going into that pain portal and the fear and really feeling it. I mean, I probably, in the last couple of years, I probably cried and laughed more than I have for the previous 10 years. But it's such a relief when you actually get to like a core aspect of, where did that wounding come from, or where did that limitation come from? So I found that immensely beneficial. So for instance, I remember a couple of examples. One was when we went through the portal for the relationship I had with my dad, and how I always felt as though I was never good enough for my dad. He was very disciplinarian, etc. But being able to go through that pain and feeling that sort of rejection and that I never measured up, but changing that whole perspective, that the truth was really the dad loved me so much that his way was to try to protect me and shield me. So that was his expression of love to me. It wasn't rejection, it was an expression of his love. So that turned that on its head. And then the other one was recently when it felt like my whole identity sort of collapsed. And we had a session, I went into the pain portal of that, and basically going back almost to my birth, where I felt guilty that I was alive because I had heard the story that It was a difficult birth for my mother and that she almost died. So I somehow unconsciously took on the story that mum almost died because of me. Therefore, I'm the problem and I'm guilty. If anybody suffers in my life, I'm the problem. I somehow caused somebody else's suffering, and that then extended out to other people. It wasn't just my family. Then it was like if my friends or somebody got hurt somewhere, it was like I would be scrambling to find, where did I go wrong? What did I do? And then, of course, so then understand, going through that and flipping that to say, well, that's not the truth. So what happened was, I was born, mum had a problem, but those two are independent. It wasn't a cause and effect. They're just independent things that happened. And so that sort of released a whole lot of pain and guilt. So, and actually allows more freedom in the relationship, not only with my mother, but with other people. So rather than being trepidatious when I go into a relationship, I don't feel like I'm responsible for however somebody feels all the time. And the other aspect was basically just doing something, rather than waiting for the perfect time or the perfect moment, for the perfect scenario, the perfect script, the perfect program. It's like, just go with what I've got. Just step out there and see what happens. And if it doesn't go the way that you expect, well, the problem is not that I've done anything wrong. It's not time, or there's more to come, rather than, sort of retreating back into, oh, I'm a failure. It's like, okay, it didn't happen this time, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. Just keep going. If you're having fun, people are responding, something's going to eventuate. Just have trust. It's virtually just trusting the whole process rather than placing expectations on how I think things should eventuate, how things should pan out.
That's so profound, Dimitra, on so many levels, because you're reorientating your life force, and that was that really deep reorientation to being an evolution, not a consistent series of endpoints where you would then produce something, judge something, and then limit because it wasn't landing in a specific way. It's like you've broken through the limitation of that to allow life to be an evolution, which is an expanded version, not a limited, separate version of things whereby you need to judge them or limit them or resist them just because they don't align in a certain way that you're expecting from a limited version of you. So you're really expanding your whole consciousness and expanding your whole experience of life. And then equally to be able to have that sovereignty in relationships, that you are not innately responsible for anyone except yourself, and be really liberated from that, not just as a concept, but as an embodiment, that you have that deep freedom to know that you're not responsible. That just shifts all relationships, which is so profound, because then everyone else realizes they're not responsible either. They're just here to, be in connection to themselves, and then honor those around them. Have you found that has shifted your personal relationships and the way you can connect and the way you feel in relationships with those around you?
Oh, definitely. Especially the difference in communication with my children. I suppose with my daughter, with Irini, it's a little bit different because we've both done this work. So we sort of communicate from a different sort of perspective. But even when I speak with my sons, it's like one of the things with being a parent is that sometimes we fall into the trap that we think we know our children, right? So I look at them as individuals, of course, but also it's like I'm curious as to what's going on with them. How do they think? And to honor their perspective rather than judge their opinions and what they do, because, who am I? Okay, I'm their mother, but I'm not living their life. And also to be able to revisit things from our past where perhaps there was some pain, there was hurt, and to be able to discuss those issues, those traumas, and to move through them and to release that pain and the guilt and everything, and then to come out and just be more bonded, to feel more connected again. So that's been a real gift.
It's
Absolutely.
huge. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so
And also,
profound.
yeah, I think with my mum, it's been more a matter of acceptance, just accepting where she is. I mean, my mum's 84, 85 years old. Can't change her. And basically, I can't change anybody. But rather than trying to make her wrong or make her see things in a different way, it's just to listen to her and just to allow her to, be herself, and honor her journey. I mean, she's had a completely different journey to me, obviously. She came here as 16-year-old migrant, on her own, no parents. So she's got her own issues. But I can't expect my mum to I can't sit down and have that conversation with my mother that I would with my daughter about, you have this core wound. That's just not going to happen with my mum at this stage. But I can just be there with her, be present with her, and just honor her journey and basically ask questions rather
Mm.
than trying to talk at her. It's like, oh, and what's that like, mum? And,
Wow,
just to,
that's
yeah.
such a big shift in that relationship. And I also sense, and you can reflect for me around this owning certain parts of ourselves that get separated from us in the pain of those relationships. So there's fractures that we have in, with our kids, with our parents, within ourselves. And then as you shine the light on really taking that radical ownership of your part of the relationship, it's almost like you can gift the person the spaciousness that you're speaking of, whereby they get to be in their own humanity, in their own story, in their own truth, not in a projection of what you need them to be to find safety in yourself because of the pain that you are fearing is laid more deeply in that relationship.
Yeah.
Did you find that was a big part for you as well?
Absolutely. I got goosebumps when you were speaking now about owning your part, especially when it comes with your children, with your family. Obviously, we have, there are fractures there. It's just part of life. And being able to own those aspects of, well, yes, we did cause pain. We did something that, we only did the best we could with what we knew at the time, but it caused some trauma in both, right? In yourself and in your child, let's say, or your parent, whatever. And it's interesting that what sort of prevented me from being able to discuss it was the fear of rejection from, the pain of rejection that I anticipated from my child, let's say. But it's interesting that what happens when you truly just sit in that and just own your own part in that whole scenario and own your own pain, because you do hold on to the pain of that. When you can just sit in that and you can genuinely say, I'm so sorry that I hurt you. I'm so sorry that happened, from your heart, that it's just like ice melting.
Wow. I've got goosebumps too, because it is a
Mm.
radical sense of self-forgiveness and a radical sense of
Mm.
honesty that we come into. And sometimes it's really quite grueling and quite painful. And, I think that's one thing that can be a little bit confronting in this work sometimes, to be shown that part of you that you don't really want to look at or see, which is almost the most vital part of you to create that connection
Mm.
with yourself and another. How does that kind of feel sometimes to be in a container or in a session and you're being shown something that's like, wow, that's really confronting? Yeah.
I've done various containers with you, like the metamorphosis and so forth. And it never ceases to amaze me how all the participants are just reflecting aspects of your own struggle, And so there's a saying, it was actually my dance teacher that said this. He says, you can't read the label from the inside. It's like you're in the inside of your bubble, okay, but you can't read the label. You can't read what it is. So you need sort of another person to reflect back to you what you can't see. So
Yeah.
that's the benefit for me of being like in a container, or even just working with you individually, where somebody can reflect back at you something. It's not always pretty. It's not pleasant all of the time. Interestingly, for me personally, I found that what was harder to deal with was when somebody went to be reflected back good aspects. And I think that had to do with my unworthy wound, where, if you reflected anything back at me that was good or nice or whatever, that it was a sort of a good aspect of myself, a good part of me, that I would be more resistant to that, because I've got this thing, that running pattern is that there is something wrong with me and somebody's going to highlight that. And if you bring that to my attention, then yes, I'm going to accept it like that. That, yes, I know there's something wrong with me. Yes, I know there's something wrong with me. Yeah. What else can you tell me that's wrong with me? And that, I think, is an addiction as well.
Oh, of course. Yes. The truth.
Yeah, it isn't the truth. And it's also, rather than liberating you, it actually just keeps you in that pattern, because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You just keep confirming that story about yourself.
It just goes deeper. Yes. And I think that's the balance between that top level confirmation of the wounding and then the deeper access to the more unconscious piece that almost disrupts or dismantles that patterning. So it's that seeking of the piece that can't be seen, just as you're referring to not being able to see the label. That's almost like the core disruptor to the pattern, which is, that beautiful reflection before about your dad, that really deep part of the truth of the reality that can't be seen because of the lens of the wounding, and really accessing that and pulling that forward to the forefront of mind instead of being in those recesses where something's not quite right. That there's not quite the correct alignment between how you're perceiving things and how they actually are, but you can't really find the key to unlock that door for that integration of reality. It's like they're two separate versions that don't match. And yeah, I think you're right in saying, where is that, that piece that is difficult to see? And in your case, it's the piece of the truth of you, which is the divine, safe, powerful version of you. Allowing that piece to come online almost has to disrupt those other parts of you that are so sure about your wrongness or your not knowingness.
Absolutely.
So I think, yeah, it's a profound journey in that.
I remember, Allura, in the first retreat that I ever did with you, and we had a conclusion, and you were saying goodbye to everybody individually, and we hugged, and you whispered in my ear, "You are so powerful, you don't know how powerful you are." Yeah, I'm getting
That's
goosebumps
true.
now. And I was thinking, what is this woman talking about? So, yeah, I mean, it's weird to think that we have difficulty owning that, but owning that with humility, as an honoring, not as a, look at me, I'm so powerful. It's a different quality. When we talk about being a sovereign being or being a powerful being, it's not about showing anything to anybody. It's just being
No.
you, being so centered in yourself and just connected to yourself and just feeling safe. As you said, just feeling safe that, I'm safe to be me.
Dimitra, I don't think you could have said it any better. Oh my goodness, it's been such an honor to journey with you. And you now are doing your divine service and, purpose work that's bringing your beautiful ray of consciousness to life, which is so, so needed. Yeah, I'll put the details below for people to find your beautiful writing and your beautiful circles. So it's such a gift for that to be alive.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, so good. And for that piece, when you move from the wounding into that purpose aspect of yourself, it's an evolution, right? It's a gentle evolution of over time of these trying little, parts and expressing pieces and then bringing things together. But how does that feel for you to move into the purpose aspect of yourself?
It's funny, it's almost like it sneaks up on you kind of thing. So I think the trap that I fell into was waiting for some, lightning bolt of inspiration or revelation or something. It's trying so hard to find what it was rather than allowing something to surface. And of course, the funny thing is that it's always been there. I mean, I've revisited things that I wrote 20 years ago. I actually use the same language. I say the same
Yes.
things about connecting with your authentic self. I said that 20 years ago. And
Wow.
I'm sort of saying it again now. It was more a just letting go. I think that last session I had with you where we did the whole social media detox and that whole, just do it, Dimitra, was like, okay, let's just do this. I don't know how it's going to look. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll just go for it. And I was going to have a sharing circle on the weekend that's just passed. It didn't happen because things happened with the people that were going to come. But I was like, well, that doesn't matter. It means it wasn't going to happen anyway. So I just keep going. It's like twice a month, I'm going to have a sharing circle and it'll organically grow however it's meant to grow. And with each step, I get clearer on how this is going to evolve. It's all fine. And again, it's like it snuck up on me. It's like I didn't try to do anything. It's just that I've sort of let go of trying to make it work and just doing something, So I created the little invitation. I sort of talk about it to people. And then I don't spend too much time really thinking about it. It's like, okay, I just gave that brochure to that person. I spoke to that woman about this and then just wait because the people that need to hear it will hear it and who need to come and, participate will come. Now,
It's such
and
a
there
beautiful trust, such a deep trust in the unknown.
Yeah. And there's no timeline. I think I've got myself in trouble, put deadline.
It's such a different way of operating because you're in so much trust of your evolution, of your expression, of your purpose, of the unknown as the conduit for everything instead of clinging to how something has to be and then getting triggered and reactive and addictive in your wounding. It's like there's an open space of potential, and that really, from a baseline quantum design force, when you're not in the attachment to what you think it should be, it can really truly become what it's meant to be. So I just want to honor you for being in that space and for that creation to come through and for you to be surrendered enough to your authentic self that leads the way, not your wounding that's trying to force or coerce reality into something that you think will make you safe. It's so beautiful, Dimitra. So beautiful.
Yes, thank you. Oh, that's right. I was going to say it's not just in the universe and just to myself that I can do this and I don't need anybody's permission. I don't need any sort of qualification to say that I'm qualified to do this. I'm not pretending to be something. I'm not putting myself out there as some, I'm not saying that I'm a trauma healer or a psychologist and sort of stating as clearly as I can what my intention is. And again, the women that need to hear this and resonate with it, they will be there.
Of course. Yes. And that's the authentic expression of you, which is, it's just so divine and so true and so real and so authentic. So I'm so excited, Dimitra, to witness your divine path and to continue to journey with you. And I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to share your journey. It's such a gift. And for others that might, hear and feel that resonance of being in those woundings, can sense the liberation that comes here that you've created within yourself. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Allura. I have to say that I couldn't have done it without you, only because you led me to my own authenticity and my own inner knowledge. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Dimitra. I just receive you fully and I'm so grateful. Thank you. So much love. Bye for now. It's been an absolute pleasure to spend this time with you, and to say thank you, I'd like to share with you 3 beautiful meditations to explore your core wounding and a collection of masterclasses. You'll find these in your show notes. And if you feel the synergy to this path, know that it is available to you also.